All right, welcome to News 6 Extra. I am Christopher Heath. It is Wednesday, August the 13th. Hope you're having a good day out there. We are getting to the halfway point of the week, getting to the halfway point of the first week back to school for all the kids. Next week will be back to school for all the college kids. So, things ramping up, the routine of life starting to pick itself back up. And of course, it wouldn't be August in Florida if we weren't now once again paying attention to what's going on way out in the Atlantic Ocean where, we're keeping our eyes peeled right now for a couple of different systems out there. Candace has your full forecast.
Temperatures are going to continue to heat up across Central Florida for the rest of your Wednesday. It's going to be hot. It's going to be humid. We even have heat advisories in place for Marion and Flagler County until about 7 o'clock this evening. Now, scattered showers will also continue throughout the afternoon and into the evening hours, with their best chance of rain still focused across our inland zones. Same story for tomorrow and into Friday as well. We are still watching Tropical Storm Eric as of the 11 a.m. update. Still a tropical storm as it continues to battle plenty of dry air. Now, as we take you here throughout the next couple of hours, highs this afternoon back into those mid-90s. Again, a decent shot for those inland showers and thunderstorms. But before we even get to the rain, it's still going to be a hot one no matter where you are in Central Florida. Again, a little hotter the further north you go, up to about 107 to 109 across Marion and Flagler County, up to about 106 degrees, though, pretty much area-wide throughout this afternoon. Now, looking here at the clouds and rain futurecast, you can see a couple scattered showers can't be ruled out throughout the next few hours. Most of the rain will continue to push inland as we head into the evening. By about 5, 6 o'clock, we will still have the chance for a couple of those isolated heavier downpours that could even stick around until as late as about 9, 10 o'clock this evening. Then as we head into Thursday, though, just a little bit more drier air could bring down rain chances just a touch. So you can see, although rain chances are still there, they're going to be a little lower at only about a 40%. Same story as we head into the weekend. Quick check on Tropical Storm Erin. You can see all that dry air that's kind of mixed into all the cloud cover and moisture. Sustained winds right now estimated at about 45 miles per hour. Hurricane hunters within the next couple of days will eventually get in there to investigate, especially as it closes in on the northern part of the Caribbean. By Friday and into Saturday, it could be our first named hurricane of the season. And then by this weekend, as early as about Sunday, it could become our first major hurricane as well. The new update here when it comes to that forecast cone is your Monday at 8 a.m. slot here. And we're starting to see the cone kind of doing what the forecast models have been kind of hinting at, finally starting to make that turn to the north as it finds that little weakness in that ridge and takes that escape route away from the eastern seaboard. So this is our mid-level moisture map showing the drier air a bit for the next couple of days, but then there it is out there over the open waters. You can see outwards of almost about 800 miles by Tuesday and into Wednesday will be probably the closest approach that Erin will be at. But really at the end of the day, rain chances are going to stay pretty typical for this time of the year, down a little bit Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, ramping back up towards the end of the week and into early next week. Now, as we get results here, your full 7-day forecast. Again, no big tropical concerns at this point when it comes to Erin. The only real issue we see next week will be rough surf. We could see some minor beach erosion, depending how intense Erin gets and, of course, how close it does get to our shoreline.
And there it is, keeping an eye on Erin. E-R-I-N, not A-A-R-O-N. Two different spellings, but we're already past the A's. We're into the E's now. Well, happening in the last couple of minutes, the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission voted in favor of authorizing the state's first black bear hunt in a decade. It's been 10 years since we've had a black bear hunt. The last one had to be closed after just 2 days when all the hundreds of bears were taken. Some of them that shouldn't have been taken were killed in that hunt, and so the bear hunt was abruptly stopped. Well, once again, the state is looking at trying to manage this population. And of course, if you've been watching across the state for the last couple of weeks and months, there have been a lot of people both opposed to the bear hunt and those in favor of it. Those in favor of it are saying, listen, it is a tool we use for many other animals to kind of control the population and reduce human interactions with that population. The other side says, listen, the bears were here first. We moved in, we built neighborhoods and shopping centers on land that used to be their habitat, and it's not their fault that they're coming into our neighborhoods and getting into trash cans and everything else. So, but right now it looks as if the state of Florida will be moving ahead with a bear hunt. This will take place in December. A little bit different rules this time than last time, but there will, of course, be a bear hunt. We'll have much more on this coming up, of course, today on News 6 at 4 o'clock. Of course, we do have a full article up on clickorlando.com right now if you'd like to check that out after this broadcast is over to go find out a little bit more about the proposed bear hunt, or the now official bear hunt that will take place in December of this year. One of the other things FWC approved as part of this is that looking to using hunting dogs in 2027. So something else to keep an eye on as the state continues to deal with this issue. Well, another issue that we are dealing with is trying to make sure kids are safe as they go back to school. And one of the tools in the toolkit for a lot of cities and a lot of schools is speed cameras, specifically putting these cameras in these school zones. And if drivers speed through, they're hitting them with a pretty big fine as a way to encourage drivers by hitting them in their pocketbook to slow down when they're coming through school zones. Of course, in August, we first reported that Mount Dora was going to go ahead with this. And as Lake County community correspondent Mark Lehman shows us today, the cameras went live.
I'm Lake County community correspondent Mark Lehman. We are in Mount Dora, where new cameras are going online today to try and catch school zone speeders. We're outside of Mount Dora Middle School, and the setup is right over here. It's very noticeable for drivers. Starting this morning, these cameras will capture the license plate of people speeding through this area. Across Mount Dora today, cameras near school campuses are being activated to catch drivers speeding through school zones. It's the same system that's been installed in cities and counties across Central Florida over the last year.
This is going to keep our community safe, our kids safe, our staff safe, and this is going to be a way to slow these cars down.
The cameras are coming after the city held traffic studies at Triangle Elementary, Round Lake Elementary, Mount Dora Middle, and Mount Dora High. Police say the results were concerning.
We did a total of 4 traffic studies. One of them was Round Lake, where we had 450 violators for one day.
The cameras will look for drivers going more than 10 miles over the limit. After a 45-day warning period, violators could get a $100 fine. As for how that breaks down, $60 is split between the city and the vendor, $12 goes to the school district, $23 goes to the state, and $5 goes to school crossing guards.
My goal would be to have 0 violators. That is my goal.
Each violation is viewed by a Mount Dora police officer before a fine is issued. Once that ticket is sent out, drivers have 30 days to pay it or appeal the fine in court. In Mount Dora, I'm your Lake County community correspondent Mark Lehman, News 6.
I think most of us are all for trying to keep kids safe and get people to not speed. But Kathleen, I mean, cameras have been, whether we're talking speed cameras or we're talking red light cameras, this has been a controversial thing in Florida for a long time. What do you make of this? What do you think when you see one of these out there?
I don't mind them. I don't mind them. You should be following the rules. You should be following the speed limit. I don't mind. I have had to pay a red light ticket fine, but it wasn't my fault. But that's a different story. But I did have to pay that. But I don't.
Everyone's innocent.
Right. I don't mind them. I like that they're using some of the money from the fines to pay for the crossing guards and pay for different things. So I do like that aspect of this plan.
You know, one of my mom got one for going right on red, and she blew right through. And because I looked at the video and I was like, yeah, you're going to pay this, Mom. You got to come to a stop. And she just didn't. And hopefully she learned her lesson. My whole thing with the red light cameras is the same as like the speed cameras. The intention, I think, it is good. Yeah, we don't want people running red lights. We don't want people speeding. But when you start to look at how this money breaks down, the vendor gets a good chunk of it. The state gets a good chunk of it. This is money coming out of your community and going to wherever the vendor's located. A lot of the red light cameras are located in Phoenix, Arizona. The companies are. So, we're taking money out of Central Florida and sending it to Arizona. And then we're sending another chunk to Tallahassee, which spends it however our illustrious leaders in Tallahassee decide to spend it. And so I think there's a financial question you can ask. But again, we live in a representative democracy. If you don't like this, there's an election every other November. So
That's true.
So something to chew on, as I'm sure we will see more and more cities and schools looking to, again, keep the kids safe, but Maybe put a little coin in their pocket. We'll see. All right. We'll take a look outside as we go to break, and we'll be back in a couple minutes to discuss rodents eating your car. Stay tuned for that. All right, welcome back to News 6 Extra. I'm Chris Reith. Kathleen is, of course, joining me. And we teased before we're going to break rodents eating your car. Little critters going in there and chewing on it. This is a Lewis Bolton investigation. And it's, something I think, we all try and do our best to keep our car. We park in a nice place. If you're at a grocery store, maybe avoid if there's a bunch of shopping carts around there. Drive safe, those kinds of things. But something you might not think about is the various components of your car and how delicious they could be to rodents. And of course, if that happens, well, who pays for it? Do you? Does insurance? Odds are the rodent isn't paying for it. Lewis Bolton explains.
And this has to be maintained all the time. It's hideous. New truck, all this mess in it.
It's now a daily routine for Christine Moss. Spraying rodent repellent under the hood of her 2023 Ford F-150, along with rat poison and mothballs.
The mothballs are down beside the battery.
After she says rodents chewed through her wiring and almost everything under the hood.
We had fuel pump, we had all our pumps, all our filters, everything was eaten through.
She says when she started the vehicle, she immediately knew there was a problem.
Heard this bang, 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 and the car was stuttering like it didn't want to go. So the air went off. All the systems started going down, dashboard lit up.
Under warranty, Christine thought the dealership would handle it, but she was told rodent damage isn't covered. She says what followed was weeks of frustration between the dealership and her insurance company, leaving her without a vehicle for a month.
Something needs to be done. This is just not appropriate. All these new vehicles have this wiring.
The wiring in many newer vehicles is made with soy-based materials that some believe attract rodents. It's cheaper and environmentally friendly, but it can also be a magnet for damage. The total cost for Moss's repairs, more than $6,000. Insurance eventually covered it, but she still had to pay her $1,000 deductible.
That's not okay.
Moss isn't alone. News 6 has learned in the past both Toyota and Honda were hit with class action lawsuits due to masses of angry customers who had to pay for rodent repairs. But the lawsuits were eventually dismissed, some because it couldn't be proven the soy is what was attracting the animals. The car maker still used the wiring.
Well, the soy itself is what attracts them, and they can pick up the scent.
Steve Alfieri is the general manager at Russell Automotive in Apopka.
And there's many times we've opened hoods and found actual living animals under the hood with babies in the nest.
He says any vehicle parked outside for an extended period of time is susceptible to animals getting under the hood, whether you have soy wiring or not.
They don't necessarily go after the wires. They go after the hard plastics. They eat the hood insulation down to make nests.
Alfieri showed us an example of bite marks on insulation under the hood. Meantime, owners like Moss are left to fight for coverage while protecting their vehicles.
It's an added expense, and it's up to me, the vehicle owner, to protect myself.
Especially if you park outside, be aware rodent damage is real and costly. Check your vehicle regularly and talk to your insurance about coverage options. I'm Louis Bolden, News 6.
Oh, one more thing to think about living here in Florida. As if gators, living in all of our ponds and in the winter, the iguanas falling from the trees wasn't enough. Now I need to be worried about rodents chewing their way through my car. One more thing. Thank you, Louis. Okay, well, on that note of crushing morosity, we move on to another. This week, we found out that the inflation number came in a little bit better than had been expected. Still high, still kind of sticky out there. But one area of inflation that's outpacing inflation broadly is the cost of groceries. If you've been to the store recently, you might have noticed that some things have gotten a little more expensive than others, and some have really gone up in price. For a lot of shoppers who just got off of back to school shopping, the double sticker shock of the cost of back to school coupled with groceries and their prices going up is a lot to take in. Stephanie Rodriguez has this story.
Okay, and I can tell you the prices have gone up.
Gail Kent tells me she's noticed a steep increase at checkout.
Like I just got Parmesan cheese. It was $12.99 and now it's $16.99.
And she's not the only one seeing the rise, as the high cost of groceries is straining many people's wallets. A recent poll shows 53% of Americans say grocery costs were a, quote, major stress.
Well, I think it's really sad for people who really can't afford it.
And it could continue to impact consumers, as economists warn the latest round of tariffs might drive up prices even further. Some imports coming from Brazil will now face a 50% tariff, which means we'll likely see some coffee, sugarcane, and meat go up in price.
Obviously, it's noticeable on the price difference, but it's kind of hard to say where everything's increasing. But, I mean, as far as even the champagne, it's up $1 or $2, so it just doesn't stop.
For Zach Stewart, an increase at the register has him reconsidering what he eats day to day.
For me, cooking-wise, may not always be the best option anymore if the prices keep going up. I may have to consider eating out more often, just because I live by myself.
Aluminum goods from Canada are subject to a 35% tariff, which could mean higher costs for certain drinks and canned goods.
They don't understand that tariffs are paid by the consumer, okay? The companies pay it, but then they pass on the cost.
Oh, Stephanie Rodriguez reporting. And we get a lot of meat. We got a lot of beef from Brazil. And so if you're planning to do hamburgers this weekend, you take a look at that price, because they're not as cheap as it used to be. All right, we wrap up today with saying goodbye to an old friend. If you're like me and your kids went to the Orlando Science Center, then you've probably been inside the Dr. Phillips Cinedome. It's kind of like an IMAX there. Well, it had about a 28-year run, but that run coming to an end as new technology starts to move in. News 6's Jana Monahalal has this story.
This has been the source of many happy memories for me, and it has been kind of a touchstone for the community. It's just a special place. What you experience, you almost can't experience this anyplace else.
Since 1997, the Dr. Phillips Cinedome at the Orlando Science Center has brought stories to life on a giant titled screen, transporting nearly 4 million visitors around the world. But early Tuesday afternoon, the iWorks projection system was used for the last time. And it's a bittersweet moment for Amy Quinsbury, who was there for opening day all those years ago.
You know, as somebody that was here as a volunteer and fell in love with the theater, you know, it's really nice to be able to be here and to be able to thread the last show.
This is one of the last film projectors of its kind, and it will be heading to a different museum where its legacy will live on. The dome stands at nearly 80 feet tall, and if you were to stretch it out, it would be the size of an 8-story building. But the size of the dome is what transports those viewers to places they would never think to go.
You know, some are lucky they get to travel to places, and then some get to travel, you know, through other people's journeys that they took, and it brings it to life and home for them as if they were there.
I heard the little girl behind me talking to her mom about the film, and that's why we do what we do. Kids love it, they're educated, and these films really do stand the test of time. Yes, it's been 30 years, but still, you learn something new every single time you see it.
I'll tell you how it feels. It feels like graduating high school or graduating college. You know, you're saying goodbye to one chapter of your life, but you're very excited for the next chapter.
The last show ended at 2:45, but soon Orlando's dome will light up with stories for a whole new generation. Thanks to a $1 million donation from Dr. Philip Charities, it will make way for a new 8K version of projection with plans of opening in spring of 2026. In Orlando, Jana Manohara, 6.
Okay, Kathy, this is becoming a regular occurrence where I ask you if you've seen something, and the answer inevitably is always no. Have you been out to the Science Center and seen anything in the Cinedome?
I have not.
And the streak remains intact. You know, it's okay. It's okay. Listen, and now you'll have to wait till spring of next year.
I know, and maybe it's because I don't have kids, and you know the Science Center is geared towards kids, but I should still check it out.
Yes,
it seems like it's really cool. I've heard a lot of good things about it, so maybe I will check it out.
The IMAX is always a lot of fun, and I mean, it's obviously it's a different version, but basically same kind of thing. You know, that immersive thing, and it's just, you know, you get in there and just you forget, I think, how much we rely on our visual senses for stuff, because you start to feel like, oh, am I moving? You're not moving, but you feel like you are, because it just envelops you like that.
So is the screen like bigger and like around it, or?
Yeah, it's big. It's kind of like a you're on the inside of a orb basically, and you're looking at it. So it projects. So really, your field of view, you almost have to turn your head to see that you're not, because everything within your immediate field of view is the screen. So it's immersive. You've been to Disney and Soarin'?
Yes. Yes,
same
that
kind of
I
thing.
have.
Now, obviously, we're 1 out of 12. So yeah, Disney and Soarin's kind of the same thing. Now they actually lift you up a little bit, and they spray you with like smells and stuff to make you, smell what, like if you're going over pine trees and that. But
right,
different thing out there at the Science Center. But yeah, same kind of thing where it's immersive and you just kind of feel like you're there. And it's the way it's shot. It's it's everything, and it's really a lot of fun to go check those out. So something to do for you when they reopen it.
Right, in the spring. I want to put it on the calendar for the spring.
So many things on that calendar now. Every day we do one of these, we add something more to your calendar. It's going to be nonstop.
We do.
Okay.
It's pretty booked now.
It is getting there. All right. Thank you, as always, for putting the show together and being my wonderful co-host for News 6 Extra. We'll be back here tomorrow at 12:30 to do this again. In the meantime, if you'd like to read more about the state's upcoming bear hunt, I know we just put a push alert. If you don't have the News 6 app on your phone, you should get it immediately. You would have gotten a push alert about the bear hunt being authorized by FWC. You'd have seen Mike Valenti walking through the background, all of that. But we'll be back here tomorrow at 12:30 to do this again. Otherwise, News 6 will be on the air today at 4 o'clock. We'll see you then. Have a great one.